Actually, it's been around for a long time, this metaverse idea. I think Facebook would love to claim that it invented it. It didn't. It basically, as you suggested, means a future version of the internet. It starts with 3D virtual spaces. You and I could get together in a virtual room using virtual reality tech. And as the tech becomes more sophisticated, we could feel like we're in the room together. But it goes further than that. It's a kind of unifying application of the entire internet, drawing together all things digital, from artificial intelligence to cybercurrency to games to augmented reality and more. Neuroscientists have warned us for a very long time now that our heavy engagement with digital tech may actually be rewiring our brains, so that instead of using reason and logic when we communicate, we tend to become more hyper-emotional in the way we talk to each other online. Facebook's own research into social media finds that messages get more eyeballs when they provoke anger more than empathy. And people today often prefer hot responses to more calm and measured ones online. So imagine how much greater that problem might be if we supercharge our internet engagement with this much more immersive metaverse idea.
The other thing is
the important thing to remember is that these sexual assaults that have been reported now in a number of places, aside from the BBC, the abusers and their victims exist only in avatar form, and the assault is virtual in nature. But for the victim, that does absolutely nothing to reduce the psychological impact of the violent intent of the assault and the feelings of vulnerability that sort of inspires. It's a real danger area, and I'm concerned that if groups like Meta can't protect the young in the internet we have today, the relatively static version of the internet, how will it possibly protect young people from the unscrupulous and the bullying, even violent users of the untamed West of the metaverse? So a lot of work needs to be done before we get too excited about this metaverse idea. That artificial intelligence is just that. It is artificial. Neuroscientists and technologists agree even now that we haven't come anywhere near being able to emulate the function of a human brain. I mean, AI can do some fairly amazing things, but it can't yet display what is technically called artificial general intelligence. It's good at thinking in straight lines. It can't carry out multiple complex tasks at once most of the time. So yes, there are areas where we need caution, but I think we need to also be careful we're not over anxious about the technology. There are limits with it. We will see this year, I think, new vaccines that can be delivered via skin patches. At least one company is working on a vaccine right now that could potentially treat any COVID variant. And others are looking at adding the flu vaccine to COVID jabs so that people need fewer injections. That'd be good. I think we'll also see developments in vaccines like HIV, for HIV and malaria. That's already been in process for a while, but COVID has sped it up. And let's not forget too, we need to do a lot more this year, and we will do more to get vaccines to the 98% of people in low-income countries who've not even received one dose of a vaccine. So it's going to be a big year for vaccine development. Psychologists now are starting to focus in on the mental health potential of technologies like virtual reality, which of course is most often associated with playing games. But it offers a way of transporting patients from one reality to another, and that allows them time out from a threatening situation to think about how they might react. Holograms will be used in much the same way in the next couple of years. We know that holograms have been used to provide concerts with artists alive and dead. They've been used for many things, but a holographic image can be built from the ground up to simulate the behaviour and appearance of either a problem person or a stressing situation. Again, very helpful development for mental health. In some respects, I think these guys are building modern imperial rulerships with themselves at the apex, if you like. They're inventing new global hierarchies. They talk about promoting equality, but very often they leave behind them greater social gaps. For example, they separate people in terms of economics. Companies know that they can't get patents because they've been taken over by the big tech companies, and smaller companies that could innovate on a specific idea and are unable often to do so. So it's not easy to make the case for big tech. And you mentioned taxation earlier. Amazon saw its profits increase last year through sales during the COVID pandemic, online sales. It saw its profits go up by more than 30%, but it paid just 3% more in tax. So again, there's problems of accountability in the free market space. I think one of the other things that's going to hang around and was here before the pandemic but sped up as a result of it is the whole issue of cash and cashlessness. And we were just not debating the downsides of a fully cashless society. Things like digital debt, identity fraud, data outages.
Yeah.
And what comes next? We've moved from cash to credit cards to debit to cashless systems on our phones. What's next? Some technologists think it is payment systems built into the human body.
Wow.
I have concerns with that. So I think that'll come to the fore a little more this year. And I still think we need to hold big pharma companies to account. Even though they're doing such good work, and they are, and I have friends working in that industry, we need to hold them to account for their ethics going forward, because as some have pointed out, I agree that sometimes in COVID-19, in the pandemic, we've responded to science as if it were infallible until fairly recently. But good science always challenges its own assumptions. And so we need to remember that science and scientific companies are made up of human beings who, like the rest of us in the right circumstances, get stressed, may be driven by ambition at times. We should celebrate the benefits of science this year, but we should really keep an eye on the ethics we apply. Yeah, well, there are some good things. I mean, as always, Dave, technology is amoral. It's us that have to choose how we use it. Well, on the plus side, there'll be great benefits to entertainment with fully immersive games, 3D movies, and so on. And I think the metaverse will add a whole new level to our capacity for innovation through mass collaboration. People already, with today's version of the internet, work online, don't they, over the entire globe, solving problems together. That will be much more possible with the metaverse. Imagine, too, the impact it could have on education, where children are able to visit simulations of historic events in 3 dimensions. Trainee doctors could perform virtual 3D operations. Architects and engineers could construct almost any lifelike model of their designs. And as it becomes more sophisticated, the metaverse will cut down carbon emissions because people won't need to fly to things like business conferences as much as they do today.